All right, welcome back, you guys, to another video. This is another video that I promised to bring you guys off of based upon an article that I already read, but I'm going to read it along with you guys. The article is from Fan Nation. It's entitled Buffs Beat. So I'm assuming this is a Fan Nation Buffs Beat, meaning that they keep up with the current findings or the current events surrounding Colorado football. So it's entitled Buffs Beat. The title of the article says Deion Sanders says other coaches are trying to sabotage recruiting efforts at Colorado. Now, what I'm about to say is going to sound a bit conspiratorial, and I admit that if you guys think that I'm off my rocker here, you can say that I am, and I understand why you guys may say that. But finding out what I found out today about Coach Prime being part of this media company called SMAC, SMAC, ran by Constance Schwartz and co-founder. I have a brain fart right now. Co-founder Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan. Sorry. So finding out what I found out today, I'm starting to believe that everything that's happening with Colorado, if it's true that they're creating a docu-series about, going back since Prime started you know, at SJU, Southern Jackson State, or Jackson State University, excuse me, if he started off there and now he's at Colorado, a Power Five conference school, I'm starting to believe that everything that's being done and everything that's being said is made for that docu-series. Let me explain what I'm going to say. And this is going to sound like I'm a conspiracy theorist, and you can say that I am, but I'm only applying critical thought. I'm not saying that this is true, but it could be true. And if it does happen, I wouldn't be surprised. Everything that's been happening with Colorado is being set up in the docu-series to help elevate and build the brand. Let me explain. You're asking, what do you mean? What are you trying to get at? Glad you asked. I'm going to get there. Okay. Next year, remember on a couple of videos that I made, I said that if Prime doesn't make changes and he continues to do the same things that he's doing, that I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado has the same similar season next year. And then again, I factored in how some recruits may not want to actually come there anymore based upon them believing that he may leave. So when I hear stories like this about Prime blaming other coaches, I think that this is a preconditioner. Sometimes you have to precondition your hair before you condition it, and you condition it, and you shampoo the hair. Okay, this is a precondition or buffer, a prefix to set up the minds of people who will see Coach Prime suffer his second year at Colorado in terms of wins and losses. So he already has a fail-proof mechanism already put in place, which is going to be part of the docu-series. The docu-series is going to emphasize something like this. It's going to talk about how coaches, the coaching fraternity in college football, were against Coach Prime. They're going to say that. And then he's going to be made, when I say he, Coach Prime, aka Deion Sanders, is going to be made to look like the victim, that the whole coaching fraternity was against him. And that's why the black coach couldn't succeed, because you're gonna hear stories about, you know, subtle forms of racism. You're gonna hear stories about discrimination because he's black. Just get ready for all that to come out, because if Coach Prime suffers next year in terms of wins and losses, let's say next year comes and Colorado is still doing the same thing. They're passing every time. There's no major improvements. The team isn't going anywhere. The docu-series that comes out at the end of all of this, it's not going to come out next year, of course. It has to paint the picture. The journey starts with Jackson State, JSU. It goes into Colorado, and it goes into Coach Prime's next venture, whatever his ambitions are, or wherever he endeavors to go, whatever that is going to follow him. But this stint in Colorado is already fixed. It's fixed to give him an out. That the whole coaching fraternity is against him, and it hurt his recruiting because everybody was jealous of me because I'm so great. Those are, as crazy as that sounds, it's not crazy. It's logical, but I know you guys may think that I'm going off the deep end here. But as crazy as that sounds, it sounds very plausible. And those are all symptomatic behaviors of a narcissist. They can never be wrong. It's always somebody else's fault. They play the role of victim so well, but they play the role of victim because they know they have a large following, and they can tug on the heartstrings of people by appealing to your emotions. Emotional appeal is the number one influencer of everything. Look at all the commercials that are made. Every commercial, over 90% of commercials appeal to people's emotions. They use fear. They use fear to pull you in, and they entice you with greed and the lust for materials. They use that to get you. Oh, you don't want to get sick, get this drug. You don't want to get your house robbed, get the security system. You don't want to die, don't leave money to your young kids. Sign up and get our life insurance plan. You don't want to get sick and die, come get this vaccine. Everything is predicated on tugging at your emotional heartstrings. Fear is one of them. Fear is one of the major factors of why people do what they do. And that's why people are easily manipulated, because fear is a number one emotion known as an emotional toxin that toxifies your emotional thinking senses, because your emotions, they stimulate the way you think. Because when you're in fear, the flight or fight comes in. Flight or fight. You're like, oh, I got to do something. And you end up making irrational decisions. Coach Prime, everyone, people who are following him, the passionate followers, the ones that believe in him, the people that wanted to see him succeed, he already has a mechanism built in place. Now let's go back to even the event that occurred at the UCLA game when the players allegedly got their jewelry stolen. I didn't follow that story. I didn't really follow it because I really truly didn't care. But that's also a narrative too. That's going to be on a docu-series. It's going to talk about how college football was against them, how they were the object of people's wrath and hate. That when they went on the road to play UCLA, they even had people robbing the players and taking their jewelry, and people were jealous of Coach Prime, and everybody wanted to see him fail. And the whole coaching fraternity were lying to recruits and telling recruits that he's not going to be there, and they hurt his recruiting efforts and he couldn't recruit. Listen to me. There are many great college coaches who don't have the best recruits, but they can coach their asses off, and they squeeze out the best out of their players. It's not about having recruits. Right now, I can give Prime, let's say, hypothetically speaking, let's say Prime got every player he wanted on his team. With that coaching philosophy of patent stats, of showing high favoritism to only Travis Hunter, and your son Shador, the team may be better, but they would not be able to maximize their talent the way it should. That's why I feel that right now, Colorado Buffaloes, their team should be better, because the coaching philosophy of Coach Prime does not allow the team to maximize their talent. You got to squeeze everything out of that lemon. He's not. He's going to the particular parts of the lemon and just kind of poking at my son and Travis. Squeeze the whole team. You'd be amazed what that team would do. They were riding with you at first, Prime, but I think most of your team, they know what you're about. And just as much as you brought the Louis luggage to Colorado, and a lot of teams left a lot of players left their teams to come to you through the portal because they believed in you, the reverse is going to be true next year. A lot of players on your team will leave to go somewhere else. And you're going to paint the picture that they couldn't take it. They couldn't be disciplined. That's why we had problems. That's why we weren't winning, because we didn't have the right players. There's always an excuse. Prime knows how to, he knows, how he does it. The ones that left were the ones that were probably holding us back. We need new linemen. You know how he does. He's going to throw everybody else under the bus. So yeah, Deion Sanders says other coaches are trying to sabotage him. Expect stories like that to be part of the docu-series. When everything's all said and done, you're going to see these things come out. And this is where they shape the narrative. To have people who are watching the documentary, they're gonna take all these things as fact. But remember, when you're doing a docu-series, you're taking a collage of information, right? And then you're handpicking what you want to put in the docu-series to paint your picture. It's like someone giving you an assortment of different colors. And then you have your paintbrush, but you get to nitpick which colors you want to use to paint the canvas. That's what this is. They're going to take certain things to paint the canvas, to paint the docu-series and say, hey, this is what it's about. So just be mindful of that. He has a scapegoat next year. He can say people are sabotaging my recruiting efforts, but it's not about coaching. Is much more about your recruits. Yeah, it does help to get good players, but I believe right now Colorado has good players. They're not being maximized. Okay, let me continue reading the article. It says, Deion Sanders hasn't finished his first full season at Colorado, but other coaches already feel threatened by his progress. What progress? He won 3 more games than last year. Look at the way his team has been looking. I don't think this year. I think it was progress initially with that winning streak. I think that's when teams were actually coaches were starting to be afraid, like, this guy's about to take over. And I thought the same thing too. I'm thinking this guy's about to come to Colorado and dominate college football. But then when the competition got stiffer, we started to see that when stuff hits the fan, so to speak, the realness comes out. And I started to see certain things about Coach Prime that I did not like. But this idea that coaches feel threatened by his progress, what progress? They don't feel threatened by anything. As a matter of fact, I would go as far, I can argue and say that the coaching fraternity that's supposed to be the ones that are against Coach Prime, I would say those guys are laughing at Coach Prime and Colorado Buffaloes. What starts so hot, when something starts so hot, it burns out quickly. It started too hot. Everything was, Coach Prime, blah, 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 blah. Coach Prime this, Coach Prime that. It's stalled out, and they're gonna lose out. And that losing mentality, that losing aura, that stench of losing may follow them into next season. Don't be surprised, guys, if they start off next season losing still. Remember, you heard it here first. And I'm not a hater. I'm just assessing the situation as I see it. If my opinion is different from yours, it's okay. And it's okay for your opinion to differ from mine. I'm willing to accept that. We can just agree to disagree on that. Okay, so no coaches are being threatened by his progress. Again, what progress? All right, these are all new players that you got on your team. It's not as if you took the same team, that the same players that were 1-11, and then you won 3 more games the next year. That'll be something to marvel at. Not when you bring in your Louis luggage and then you're getting dominated game in and game out, and your team looks totally incompetent, and you're out there literally committing coaching malpractice by leaving your son in the game while he's getting his ass beat the hell up when the games are totally out of reach. Your son is going in. Your son is constantly getting painkiller injections at halftime, coming back. Usually people get painkiller injections after the game so they can heal up for the next game. He's getting them in the game and coming back to play within that same game. Nah, man, there's something not right with that. There's something not right with that. But you guys may think that's okay. That's not okay. That's not somebody that's about kids. That's somebody that has an agenda that's about himself. That has nothing to do with he's a, Shador is strong. No, you can be borderline idiotic by trying to prove your valor and prove your strength and going out on your own shield. That's stupid. If you're that much in pain, sit your ass down. The game is over. There's no reason why you're in 29-6 or 28-6. What the hell? Anyway, the Hall of Famer went on the record during his weekly coaches show on Wednesday and said other schools are trying to thwart recruiting effort by spreading lies about his future. Really? There he goes. Got to paint the victim picture. They're sharing lies about me. Hey, listen, you're not the first person, Coach Prime, in America that other coaches have lied about. Usually, I'm sure when Nick Saban was at the top, I'm sure other coaches were saying the same thing about him. Hey, he may leave. His program is not as strong as ours. On the recruiting trips, you say anything you can to win the recruit. That's just part of the game. So why is this being made a big deal? I mean, what do you think what do you think coaches are supposed to do? They know you have the upper hand because you have the gift of gab. You know how to talk. You're a great motivator, but that does not mean that you are a great coach. Motivation and coaching are two different things. They're two distinct different things. You can motivate somebody to hell. You can motivate somebody to go in the game and play and put them in a position where they look like total idiots. Just like you did, you motivated your team to the point where you had your team going for it. First down, second down, third down, in their own territory, pass plays. You did not run out the clock. Yes, this was a game against Oregon State. I would never forget that. I've never seen coaching idiotic practices so deeply woven in a passion for your son that you can't even say to yourself, you know what, let's just hold off and play it safe and then come back at half and then we can try to get back at them. No. When you have pride and ego and you're arrogant, you don't think that way. You make costly errors. You motivate your team to look stupid. You motivate your team to continue to pass block knowing that that's not their strong point. You motivate your team to operate off of their weakness. We know that the offensive line and pass blocking is not a strength of Colorado. Again, I will always say for the millionth time, it's not as atrocious as people are making it to be. It's bad, of course. It's not that bad. But when you are predictable, then you become exposed. Then it looks like the offensive line and offensive and pass blocking looks horrible. Yeah, Prime, because you are predictable. You've pretty even my 4-year-old daughter is watching the game. She's like, they're gonna pass, daddy. They're gonna pass, daddy. She knows. She's 4. The hell, if a 4-year-old can do it and a caveman can do it, what do you think the rest of your opponents are thinking? Arrogance, man, it clouds judgment. I'm telling you guys, this is not stuff that I'm making up. This is psychology. It clouds judgment when you're arrogant and when you refuse to be humble. So the Hall of Famer went on a record during his weekly coaches show on Wednesday and said other schools are trying to thwart his recruiting effort by spreading lies about his future. We don't even know if that's true. How can that be validated? The truth is many players are decommitting. That's what's happening. Many players are not going to Coach Prime because they understand that it's not about football. It's about brand and it's about entertainment. It's about something that's much in Prime's eye. It's much more than football. He's trying to build a legacy that's not really. It's about football, but it's not totally about football. Football is just like I said in the other videos, just a stepping stone to get to where he wants to be. Okay. According to Prime, a few unnamed schools have reached out to recruits and have said he won't be coach of the Buffaloes for too much longer. So that's not so. So if you're that great of a recruit, then go out there and recruit and prove and tell those kids that, yeah, I'm not leaving. I'm here to stay. I'm here to win. Get your ass out there. You always say, you know where to find me. No, now you have to go find them. Yeah, you gotta go out there and work, Prime. People aren't gonna just flock to you anymore. So yeah, this is not a big deal to me. This is not some travesty or some crime being committed. Even if coaches are lying, so what? They have the right to lie. And Coach Prime may be lying about this. How do we know that this is true? How do we know that? Because he said it? Because everything out of his mouth is the gospel? Get out of here. I don't believe that. And let's say if it is true, so what? Other coaches are lying. They're going to do whatever they can to get the edge. Just like you have the ability, the gift of gab, and you have the swagger to relate to the youth. You have that as your advantage, Coach Prime. So these coaches don't have anything else but to try to lie to get the recruit to come to them and to leave you. And it could be true that you're not going to be there much longer. Is there some truth to that? You're not saying anything to dispel that. All right, this is a quote from Sanders. He says, I don't talk about any other coaches or teams or staffs. I don't believe in that. Yeah, you don't have to because you're Prime. You're well known. But yeah, other recruits who don't have your savvy, don't have your connection with the youth or the inner city kids, they're going to have to say whatever they can to get the recruit to their school. So this is fair game. You have your advantage, and they're going to have to pull out something out of a hat to gain an advantage over you. And if lying is a tool that they're going to use to try to gain that advantage, then so be it. We live with it. That's just the way it works. They're not doing anything illegal. He says, I don't believe in that. Then, quote, Sanders continues to say, in quote, he says, I'm not going to put you down so I can stand up. I've never been that type of player or person in my life. Yeah, you are. You put your offensive lineman down to elevate yourself so you don't look like you're an incompetent coach. You blame everything on other people, but you're the one at the helm. You're the one yelling and scolding not Pat Schumer, but you're the one yelling and scolding Sean Lewis for not putting the ball in your son's hands as much as you wanted him to. There were times that Sean Lewis wanted to run the ball, and that's why he left. You didn't demote him. He demoted himself. Can't coach for a person that's bullheaded. You got to get the hell out of there. So I'm not going to put you down to stand up. You've done that already, Prime. I've never been that type of player or person in my life, but all these other schools are telling these young men and their families I'm not going to be there. Okay, let's say if that is true. Assuming that is true, let me give you the benefit of the doubt, Coach Prime, and say that is true. So they said that. What are you going to do about it? Then get your ass up off your couch, go to those homes, and recruit and tell mom and dad or tell mom that they're lying. I'm going to be here for the long haul. I promise, yada, yada, yada. Put your word out there. Put your word out there. Don't go talking in press conferences and hiding behind that. Get on your horse, metaphorically speaking, get in your car, whatever, get on the plane, get out there and recruit like everybody else. And let it be known that, hey, I'm here to stay. I'm here for the tenure, for the long haul. If you're not going to do that and think that people are going to just come to you based on your name alone, you got another thing coming. Because people are starting to awaken up to what this circus initially was. It was a circus. I didn't see it as such. I was kind of in la la land. I'm like, this guy's about to take over college football, but starting to see his mentality. It's not even about football anymore, which is why I'm very critical of what I see happening with Prime. So he says they think that we're going to be. He continues here. He says, quote, they think that we are going to be so successful that I'm going to leave. So they understand what we possess and the potential we possess, but that's not true. Sanders added, they think that we're going to be so successful. Oh, they being the coaches that are lying about you? No, I don't think they think you're going to be successful. It's about recruiting. Right now, you're still at a disadvantage. Your team is a little better from last year's team, but you have a long way to go. That's why a rebuild takes really, if you think about it, 3 to 5 years to get the kind of players you want. But it's the players that move the team. Those are the key components of a team. And coaching is the icing on the cake. But if you have all the great talent and you have incompetent coaching practices, then it doesn't matter who you get there, Coach Prime. So this idea that they think that we're going to be successful, you're basing your success solely on recruits. But that's not how it works. Okay, I get it. Most of the top teams have the best recruits. Yes, yes. But coaches can work with what they have and maximize the talent that they have on the team and achieve beyond and above what people expected. That's what great coaching can do. It can buy you a couple of wins when you're not supposed to win. So they think that we're going to be so successful that I'm going to leave. But like, so what? You're going to leave next year if you're that successful? I mean, what is success? Because we can categorically call this season a success, Coach Prime, because I mean Colorado did win more games than last year. What is success? Is success winning national championships like Alabama has done or like Georgia has done? I mean, you got to categorize that because I don't foresee Colorado winning a national championship anytime soon. And then if you do win a national championship, that's not an incentive to leave. Actually, when you start winning like that, the brand is built. Then you don't even have to go recruit. Players are going to want to come to your team because they understand that if I go there, I can win a national championship, I can get exposure, and then I can have a better chance of going to the NFL because I'm playing for a national championship team. That's what Colorado does. They have, especially Colorado, Ohio State, and Georgia, they have many guys who go to the NFL because they're always winning. That's the way you build a brand, Coach Prime, by winning. Not by trying to build your brand outside of football, but then using football to push your own personal brand. That's oh no. That's kind of psychotic to me. It's backwards. Ass backwards. It doesn't work. Okay, so they think that we're going to be so successful that I'm going to leave. So they understand what we possess and the potential we possess, but that's not true. That's not true that you're going to leave. That's not true that you don't have potential. I don't think he's saying that it's not true that he doesn't have potential. He believes that he has potential. And that's the jaded aspect of Coach Prime. The potential lies within you and your devotion to your team, Coach Prime. You are the engine that makes the bus go. Not by your motivational speeches, by your humility and by trusting the people you brought there to help your team, and by not trying to play favoritism and putting your players in the best positions to win. Not playing people because you know their parents. Not falling in love with certain players because of this or because of that. You know, you're coaching like you're literally coaching like a father who's watching his son play pee-wee football, and the father jumps out of the stands, goes on the sideline and says, "Put my son in," and then the son goes in, and you just give the ball to your son all the time because you want to make sure your son is successful. You're pretty much essentially what Prime is doing. He's using Colorado as his hub, as his laboratory to concoct his experiment, so to speak. So no, I need a room to do my experiment. The experiment is to push my son's agenda, to push him up for the Heisman. So I'm going to use Colorado for that. Any Power 5 conference would have done. Colorado just happens to be the program that bit the bait, and here came Coach Prime. So reading along, it says Coach Prime won't get to specifics, but Colorado lost 4-star 2025 wide receiver Winston Watkins Jr. So they lost him. That's just the one we know of. There are many more who probably had a verbal commitment, and now they're seeing how things are. Especially any run. See, he's all about wide receivers. If you understand what's going on here, Prime still has the same mentality of being pass heavy. He's not going to get out of that mode. He does not care about running the ball. Maybe after his son leaves, he'll care. But I think when his son leaves, he may be leaving with his son. It's a possibility. Because as you can see, he's thinking just get more weapons. And get an offensive line and get more weapons. Who does that benefit most? The son. The son is a Sanders. You can have Barry Sanders on that team. And I'm using hyperbole here. Of course, I'm exaggerating. You can have Barry Sanders on that team, and Barry Sanders wouldn't get the ball. Not because Barry Sanders can't run. We know he's a great running back. He broke plenty of ankles in the NFL. Go look at film of Detroit Lions and Barry Sanders on YouTube. I mean, that guy was like a cartoon character, man. He didn't even look real out there on the football field. If Coach Prime had a player like Barry Sanders on the team, he wouldn't play. He's a running back. He just wants receivers for his son. So how are you? This gets me so angry because if you have a lethal running game with Shador as your quarterback, do you know how unstoppable Colorado will be? Just think about it for 1 second. Let's say they got a bunch of good offensive linemen that can run and pass block. And then Coach Prime is like, you know what? He sits down with Shador. He's like, look, son, we got to change our philosophy. We can't keep doing like this because people know what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. We're going to be run heavy. So everyone's going to think that all we're going to do is run the ball. We're going to recruit the best running backs in the country. We're going to recruit the best offensive linemen in the country. We already have wideouts. They have a freshman, Omarion, I believe. They have wideouts. They're not lacking weapons on the outside. That's not the problem with Colorado right now. And then let's say Coach Prime beefs up the middle, then gets strong running backs. And then all of a sudden next year, they just start pounding. Over 100 yards a game, killing the clock, winning time of possession. And then Shador is just throwing touchdowns all over the place. Because now when they get in good field position, the defense is like, okay, they may run again. No, play action, touchdown. Play action, touchdown. You will actually help your son out more, Coach Prime, if you commit to the run. If you fool the country to believe that you are a run-heavy team, with Shador as your quarterback, and you have a hellacious running game, I don't think you understand how unstoppable you guys would be. But you're just so passionate about your son because you know your son's great. You know your son's good. You're overly biased. You talk about how he's so mature. You talk about how he can handle pressure. We get it. We all get it. He's great. He's good. But he can't be good by himself. He needs a team around him. Imagine if you gave him a beast running game. Stop getting these wide receivers. Peyton Manning had Eldrin James. John Elway had Terrell Davis. Troy Aikman had Emmitt Smith. You have to commit to the run. That only makes your son greater. It doesn't make your son great to pass the ball 50 times and pad his stats. It makes you guys look desperate and obvious that you guys have an agenda, and that's what I started to pick up on. No one told me that. I just started to see it myself. It didn't make any sense. You had great running backs. You had running backs on your team that were NFL ready. Kavasier Smoke, who came from Kentucky. Alton McCaskill, who was a monster at U of H. Go look at his highlights. Wilkerson, Hankerson, these were good running backs. You didn't use them, Prime. You didn't use them. So, hey, if you think that getting all these wideouts and all these 5-4-star wide receivers is going to be the answer, then you're a fool. You're a bigger fool than I thought, Coach Prime. You're trying to tell me that Travis Hunter is not a good receiver, Xavier Weaver, Horn Jr.? You're trying to tell me that those guys aren't good enough? Those guys are already good. You already have a slew of receivers that are great. You need no more. You're overstocking on things you don't need. You're still not even focused on the running game. But you know what? You've already auditioned your philosophy to the country and to the world. No running back is going to want to come to Colorado because they just saw what you did. You do not use your running backs. And that's going to be the Achilles heel. And that's going to be the thing to finish the door. I foresee him taking the same amount of pounding next year as he did this year. Nothing's going to change in 1 year. Not if you don't change your philosophy. That offensive line is not as bad as everyone's making him look. I'm talking about the offensive line this year in pass blocking. Wow. So again, Winston Watkins Jr., he decommits on Sunday. If there's any open speculation about this, Missouri coach Elian Drinkwitz, I think that's the way you pronounce his name, and his staff might be involved. There's no concrete evidence. See, what Prime is saying is not rooted in evidence. He's just putting it out there, and his followers and believers are gonna hinge on that message. Yeah, that's why he couldn't recruit. They were lying. If it's that easy to sway kids from going to a particular university, then you're an idiot if you believe that. If all you have to do is just lie about another coach leaving, oh, he's not going to be there. Come to my school. Okay. It's not that easy, guys. It's not that easy. There's something else going on. People are starting to wake up. They do not want to literally go to Colorado because they're starting to see the writing on the wall that it's not about you. It's not about the program. It's about Coach Prime and his brand and his sons, the three sons that I mentioned. The Sanders and Hunter, the two Sander boys and Hunter. That's who he's trying to package here. He wants them to go to the NFL. And then once they're in the NFL, his next move will come up. One commenter on the thread on the last video I made said that he may not go coach in the NFL, but he may be trying to own a team in the NFL. But whatever it is, it's an agenda. It's not about Colorado right now. And that's one thing I don't like about our society, that a lot of people get jobs and use that as a stepping stone to go somewhere else. And there's nothing wrong with building your resume and then eventually you get a promotion. But when you already have that pre-concoction or that premeditated idea to go to a university to build yourself to go somewhere else, that means that your heart's not totally 100% in it. And it's not. It's not. It's always been about padding his son's stats. It's not. He's not in it. So now he's trying to already put out the narrative about coaches sabotaging him because he understands that next year the same thing's going to happen. He may get, I'm sure more players will come, but it's not about players. It's about the philosophy of the team. It's about removing yourself from father-son relationship and trying to uplift your son in a way that he gets his name put out there. We have to move away from that. We have to. Until then, we're going to get the same results next year because it's not like other teams are going to get worse. Other teams are going to get better too. There's no concrete evidence, like I said. However, Buff's commit, Talon Chandler, was sold on being in Boulder, and now he's mulling his options. He's mulling his options. Yeah, he's mulling his options now. He's like, Multiple recruiting insiders are saying he'll likely stay home and be with the Tigers. So yeah, this guy's he's gonna go to Missouri. He's gonna stay with the Tigers, stay home. When the dust settles. He's going to stay with the Tigers when the dust settles. Also, Watkins received an offer from Missouri shortly after drop his commitment at Colorado. Sanders' name has been linked to the opening at Texas A&M with ESPN. That's just smoke and mirrors. That's just another distraction. He's not going to no damn A&M. Stephen A. Smith saying Coach Prime in the SEC needs to happen. Not only as Coach Prime shot down speculations, but reiterated the fact that he's rooted in Boulder. See, the media is on steroids, man. They just want big stories. I mean, what the hell? He hasn't even proven himself in the Pac-12. You want him to go to the SEC? He'll get eaten alive in the SEC. Those coaches in the SEC are great. I don't give a damn how great of a motivator Coach Prime is. If he can't coach, and because he can coach, but if he can't coach because he's blinded by the affinity towards his son, then the same thing's going to happen. He'll get exposed more in the SEC. Trust me. You think they're dogs in the Pac-12? SEC is not a joke. It's not. And yes, I know Pac-12 has more teams that are ranked because it's that high-powered air raid stuff. They pass a lot. That's great. They put up a lot of points. But in a national championship game where one team against another team, I'm going to take an SEC team over a Pac-12 team any time of the day. Because the SEC team, they're pro style. They will just eat the clock. They'll ground and pound your ass. They'll wear down your D-line. By the time the fourth quarter comes, you guys are like mush. They're running over you guys. It's great. It's sexy in the beginning at Pac-12. You see teams just throwing the ball, flinging it all over the place. It's not conducive to actually winning critical games, especially when you're playing elevated competition, you know. So this is Sanders talking here. He says, "I'm here," Sanders said during Tuesday's press conference. He says, "I'm here. My mother is here. My sister is here. My dog is here. My daughter is here. 3 of my sons are here. 3 of my sons." Remember? Well, he's probably talking about, yeah, he's probably talking about the other Sanders, the older one, the one that does the videos on Well Off. Or he could be just talking about the sons that are on the football field. Shador, the 2 Sanders, and Travis. But anyway, let me keep on going. The daughter is here. My three of my sons are here. I think he's talking about his biological kids, excluding Hunter. We're not taking in full context because he talks about his daughter here as well. So let me keep on going here. Sons are here, and my other daughter comes out of the game, and my other daughter comes out for the home games. I get mail here, pay taxes here. I'm here. Sanders and the Buffaloes are sitting at 4-6 with 2 games left on the first in his first Power 5 season. Colorado began the year ranked as high as number 18, but has been woeful in Pac-12 play with just a single win at Arizona State. Colorado heads to Washington State for a Friday night nightcap at 10:30 p.m. on FS1 on Fox Sports. So right now it's 9:16 p.m. The game starts at 9:30. I'm going to get ready to go watch the game. But I just wanted to read you guys this article to let you guys know that they're already built-in excuses for next year. Coaches were lying about me. I couldn't really recruit. People were hating on me. People were going in locker rooms stealing our stuff. Like, it's just paint me as the victim stuff. But you're the one that was bragging that you're bringing your Louis Vuitton here. But now all of a sudden you're the victim. You're not winning, Coach Prime. And you're not going to win the recruiting. Right now, they said you rank 63rd in recruiting. It may be lower than that. You know, I know the goal. I know after the football season, those numbers may change because then you actually have the time to actually go on a full-blown effort to actually get your recruits. But if you're just going to sit on your ass and say, you know where to find me, no one knows where to find you. Of course, they know where to find you, but you're going to have to go get those guys because, yeah, players are starting to see the writing on the wall. And these coaches are giving them the script. They're giving them the truth. Just like I'm talking, I'm sure those coaches are talking, hey, man, come here. We're about playing sports. They're about something else over there. It's about their son. People are starting to see it. It's not about the team. It's about a handful of guys. That's it. So thank you guys for listening. That was the article. It was by Fan Nation. The article was titled, "Deion Sanders says other coaches are trying to sabotage recruiting efforts at Colorado." And this article was written November 16th by Josh Toll. Again, article from Fan Nation, Buffs Beat. Deion Sanders says other coaches are trying to sabotage recruiting efforts. All right, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. All right, bye.